world, it's Keely and I'm back for another video. I know it's been a while. I took an unintentional break. We had a death in the family and then just some other life stuff come up, so I haven't been in the mood to put my life on the internet for the last couple weeks. I have been doing some reading, but not a ton, but I do want to talk to you about all of the books that I recently got from the library and kind of my plans for the rest of the year. Since we are 6 months into the year, I thought it would be a good idea to kind of come up with some new challenges, do something new for my channel for the rest of the year. And my husband is tenuous on whether or not he believes that I can do my main challenge. I think I can do it. I'm gonna try really hard. But my main challenge for the rest of the year is to not buy a single book and to only use my library. I have an amazing library system where I live, and I think that I will be able to do this. It's been a couple months since I've purchased any books, and I want to continue that primarily because I have a lot of unread books, and then I want to support my local library system, and I also would rather be saving the money instead of purchasing more books to just sit on my TBR, because we have some trips coming up that we want to do. We actually just finished another trip and we just have other priorities right now. Also, I wanted to give an update that for right now, the PhD stuff is going to be put on hold just because of a lot that's happened in the last couple of months. I'm not really going to go into it, but I am still very much interested in doing a PhD. I was really doing a lot of independent research for a couple months, doing a lot of reading, doing a lot of like journal article perusing, and narrowing down the PhD programs that I wanted to apply to. I'm still very much interested in that, but because of life circumstances right now, that needs to be put on hold. Let's get into what I'm currently reading and then also the library books. The first book that I am reading is for Independent Bookshop Week and also Pride Month. Instead of going to an independent bookshop and buying more books specifically for Independent Bookshop Week, I am going to be trying to read at least one of the books that I've purchased from independent bookstores in my area so far this year. And this one is perfect for Pride Month. So this one is It Came From the Closet, Queer Reflections on Horror, edited by Jo Valise. This one is a collection of essays from queer authors all writing about specific horror movies. And I purchased this one at the beginning of the year, I think in January, for my birthday, because we went to Giovanni's Room bookstore in Philadelphia and I freaking loved it. It is a queer bookstore and it's amazing, and this is one of the books that I purchased from there that I didn't read, so I really want to continue to read this one. So far I've read the first essay, which was A Demon Girl's Guide to Life by S. Trimble, and that was all about The Exorcist, and I thought it was wonderful. I really enjoyed that essay. So there are more essays in here than there are left days in June, so I'm going to try to read as many as I can today so that for the rest of the month I have one story, and then that will complete, or one essay, and then that will complete this one. The other book that I'm reading is from the library. This one is The Memory of Animals by Claire Fuller. This one is a pandemic story. You're following, what is her name? Neffy. You're following Neffy as she has decided that she's going to take part in a study for the vaccine for the pandemic that they are experiencing in this universe, and it is requiring her to be quarantined in this facility with a bunch of other people who have also volunteered. And so you're just following her day to day, living with these strangers and dealing with whatever is happening out in the world while she's in this confined space trying this vaccine that has never been tested on humans before. It's really weird. It's really good so far. I am about halfway through it, really enjoying this one. The other one that I'm currently reading on my Kindle is the first book in the Cazalet Chronicles by, is it Elizabeth Jane Howard? And I can't remember what the first book is called, but my husband and I have been watching a ton of Lauren and David's vlogs from Lauren in the Books. I absolutely love her so much. She's been one of my favorite booktubers since I started my channel. And she read the Cazalet Chronicles last year, or throughout this year, and she really enjoyed them. So I was like, well, my library has the first one, I will try the first one. And I think I'm about like 10% of the way through it, and I am really enjoying it. It takes place over the course of, I believe, one summer, and you're following the Cazalet family. There's a family tree at the beginning of the book, which has been amazing in keeping track of who everyone is. But so far it's just kind of like that slice of life, like you're following the people in this family day to day. There hasn't really been any like major plot points that have happened. It's just kind of following this family, but I'm really enjoying it, really enjoying the writing. So that is the ebook that I am currently reading. Let's get into the other library books. I grabbed Never Whistle at Night, an Indigenous dark fiction anthology edited by Shane Hawk and Theodore C. Van Alst Jr. This one came out very recently and is just a collection of Indigenous like creepy short stories, and I really want to pick this one up soon. So maybe I will do the same thing with this one that I'm doing with this one, that I will see how many stories are in here and see if maybe I can get this one knocked off by the end of June if I read a story a day or something like that. Then I have the next TJ Klune to read that I haven't read yet. This is In the Lives of Puppets, and this one I think is kind of in the same universe as The House in the Cerulean Sea, and is it Under the Whispering Door, I think was the other one. Yeah. And so this one, I think is like supposed to be a Pinocchio retelling somehow. I feel like I heard that at some point, but it's about a strange little home built into the branches of a grove of trees live 3 robots: fatherly inventor android Giovanni Lawson, a pleasantly sadistic nurse machine, and a small vacuum desperate for love and attention. Victor Lawson, a human, lives there too. They're a family, hidden and safe. Then one day, Vic salvages and repairs an unfamiliar android labeled Hap, and he learns of a shared dark past between Hap and Geo, a past spent hunting humans. So I'm very interested in getting to this one. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed TJ Klune's writing. Then one that's the complete opposite is Chain Gang All-Stars by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. I probably butchered that, but hopefully it's at least somewhat similar. And this one sounds incredible. My husband heard people talking about it on a podcast, and then he asked me if I read it and said that I should read it so that he can hear how it is. This one is about Loretta and Hamara, who are the stars of the Chain Gang All-Stars, the cornerstone of CAPE, or Criminal Action Penal Entertainment, a highly popular, highly controversial, profit-raising program in America's increasingly dominant private prison industry. It's the return of the gladiators, and prisoners are competing for the ultimate prize, their freedom. It sounds like it's going to be really interesting. Never read anything like it, so I'm very excited to get to this one. Then I grabbed, I believe this one is nonfiction. This is Artful by Ali Smith. I've never read anything by Ali Smith, but I know that people really love her writing, so I saw this one was the only one that my library had, and I figured, why not? I will try some Ali Smith and see if I get along with her writing. Then I wanted to read more Nikki French because I read a Nikki French last year, I believe, and I did really enjoy it. I didn't love the ending. I think it was called Losing You? I can't remember what that Nikki French book was called. I've since gotten rid of it because if it's a thriller, I'm not going to read it again because I know the outcome. But for that one, I enjoyed the majority of it, but I didn't love the twist at the end. It's just something that some books do that I don't enjoy. But this one is called The Unheard, and this one is about a woman who has a daughter that goes to live with her ex-husband and his new wife. Something happens, and she believes that the daughter finds out that the husband may have killed someone. I'm not entirely sure, but it sounds like it's going to be a really fun one to read, so hopefully I will enjoy that one. And again, influenced by Lauren. She read this book on her honeymoon, and I decided I wanted to pick it up. This one is By the Book by Jasmine Guillory. This one takes place in like the publishing industry, and it is about Isabel, who is in publishing after college, still living at home. And so when she overhears her boss complaining about a beastly high-profile author who has failed to deliver his long-awaited manuscript, Isabel sees an opportunity to finally get the promotion she deserves. All she has to do is go to the author's Santa Barbara mansion and give him a pep talk. How hard could it be? And then I think it's about their relationship. It just sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. It is not that long, so excited for this one. Then I picked up one that came out very recently. This one is An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. This one is about witches, I think. S.T. Gibson wrote A Dowry of Blood, which a lot of people read over the last couple years because it got really popular. That one is a kind of like Dracula retelling, but from the perspective of one of Dracula's wives. This one says, deep in the forgotten hills of Massachusetts stands St. Perpetua's Women's College. Isolated and ancient, it is not a place for timid girls. Here, secrets are currency, ambition is lifeblood, and strange ceremonies welcome students into the fold. On her first day of class, Laura Sheridan is thrust into an intense academic rivalry with the beautiful and enigmatic Carmilla. Together, they are drawn into the confidence of their demanding poetry professor, De La Fontaine, who holds her own dark obsession with Carmilla. Oh, okay. So I wonder how much this has to do with witches. I don't know why I thought it was witches. Witches or maybe vampires, because Carmilla is a vampire story that I read a long time ago and really enjoyed. Then we have The Dance Tree by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. And this one takes place in 1518. At the height of summer, a lone woman begins to dance in the city square. She dances for days without rest, and when hundreds of other women join her, the city council declares a state of emergency. Musicians will be brought in to play the devil out of the mob. At the city's boundary, pregnant Lisbeth lives with her husband and mother-in-law, tending the bees that are the family's livelihood. Her quiet life is upended by the return of her sister-in-law, Nethi, from 7 years in the mountains, where she has been paying penance for a crime no one will name. As the city buckles under the beat of 1,000 feet, Lisbeth becomes caught in a dangerous web of deceit and clandestine passion. Just sounded really weird. And I've heard of this one, I've heard of this author, but since this one was the shorter of the ones that my library had, I decided to grab it. And a super popular one is My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Ottessa Moshfegh, and I have not read anything by this author. It says, our narrator has many of the advantages in life. On the surface, young, thin, pretty, a recent Columbia graduate, she lives in an apartment on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, paid for, like the rest of her needs, by her inheritance. But there's a vacuum at the heart of things, and it isn't just the loss of her parents while she was in college, or the miserable way her Wall Street sometime boyfriend treats her, or her sadomasochistic relationship with her alleged best friend. It's the year 2000, in a city glitter with wealth and possibility. What could be so terribly wrong? So it sounds interesting. I wonder if I'm going to enjoy this one. I very much am someone that DNFs books, so if I'm not getting on with a book by like page 50, I definitely put it down. And some of them I will DNF forever, and others I'll try to get back to at another time. I'm a little bit hesitant about that one. I'm not sure if I'm going to enjoy it. Then I have Night Crawling by Layla Motley. And this one is about Kiara and her brother Marcus are scraping by in an East Oakland apartment complex optimistically called the Regal High. Both have dropped out of high school, their family fractured by death and prison. But while Marcus clings to his dream of rap stardom, Kiara hunts for work to pay their rent, which has more than doubled, and to keep the 9-year-old boy next door, abandoned by his mother, safe and fed. One night, what begins a drunken misunderstanding with a stranger turns into the job Kiara never imagined wanting, but now desperately needs: night crawling. Her world breaks open even further when her name surfaces in an investigation that exposes her as a key witness in a massive scandal within the Oakland Police Department. Sounds really fascinating. I'm excited for this one. What I want to do is go through my library list and see like which ones have holds, to see which ones I need to return first and try to get those ones read right away. And I have another one that was really popular, and that's Detransition Baby by Tori Peters. And this one is about Reese and Ames. Reese almost had it all: a living relationship with Amy, an apartment in New York City, a job she didn't hate. She had scraped together what previous generations of trans women could only dream of: a life of mundane, bourgeois comforts. The only thing missing was a child. But then her girlfriend Amy detransitioned and became Ames, and everything fell apart. Now Reese is caught in a self-destructive pattern, avoiding her loneliness by sleeping with married men. Ames isn't happy either. He thought detransitioning to live as a man would make life easier, but that decision cost him his relationship with Reese, and losing her meant losing his only family. Even though their romance is over, he longs to find a way back to her. When Ames's boss and lover, Katrina, reveals that she's pregnant with his baby and that she's not sure whether she wants to keep it, Ames wonders if this is the chance he's been waiting for. Could the three of them form some kind of unconventional family and raise the baby together? Another interesting one. People seem to really love that one. I know it was like really controversial, I think, when it came out, but people really enjoyed it. Then I only have two more. I have Birnam Wood by Eleanor Catton. And this one says, Birnam Wood is on the move. A landslide has closed the Corowai Pass on New Zealand's South Island, cutting off the town of Thorndyke and leaving a sizable farm abandoned. The disaster presents an opportunity for Birnam Wood, an undeclared, unregulated, sometimes criminal, sometimes philanthropic guerrilla gardening collective that plants crops wherever no one will notice. For years, the group has struggled to break even. To occupy the farm at Thorndyke would mean a shot at solvency at last. But the enigmatic American billionaire Robert Lemoyne also has an interest in the place. He has snatched it up to build his end times bunker, or so he tells Burnham's founder, Mira, when he catches her on the property. He is intrigued by Mira and by Birnam Wood. Although they're poles apart politically, it seems Lemoyne and the group might have enemies in common. But can Burnham trust him? And as their ideals and ideologies are tested, can they trust one another? I think this one was up for the Women's Prize. Was it this year? And People really love this one, so I'm excited for it. I love the idea of a guerrilla gardening collective. That sounds really fascinating. I have talked over the years about wanting to read all of the winners of the Women's Prize, and they just announced the winners for this year of the nonfiction, the new nonfiction, and then the fiction. And I decided again that I want to do it. And so now I'm actually going to do it. I have a list, I have them all written down, and I have read, I think 4 or 5 of the winners, and I want to go back and read all of them. So one of them, I believe, was Girl, Woman, Other, or at least it was on one of the lists. And this one I've had out from the library before. It says, Girl, Woman, Other is a magnificent portrayal of the intersections of identity and a moving and hopeful story of a group of Black British women. Suffused with empathy and vibrant humor, Girl, Woman, Other is populated with unforgettable characters, from a lesbian playwright to a jaded school teacher to a non-binary social media influencer. Sparkingly witty, centering voices we often see othered and written in an innovative, fast-moving form, this is a polyphonic social novel by a masterful British writer who has finally been lauded at the level she has long deserved. Well, I've never read anything from Bernardine Evaristo, but I'm really hoping that I'm going to enjoy this one. So my goal is to try to finish up this one today if I can, and then to read however many I need to from It Came From the Closet, so that I have only however many days left in June, that number of essays to read, and then also to get started on Never Whistle at Night, which will probably end up giving me weird dreams, but that's fine. That's kind of what my book situation is looking like. My husband and I this past weekend decided that we wanted to pretend like we were moving and then go through the rooms in our apartment and decide, like, is this stuff that we want to move with us to the next apartment or stuff that we want to get rid of? So I did a huge clean out of my books. I also decided to make this shelf into a rainbow shelf, which I'm very much enjoying, but I also got rid of a lot of books from it. And then I also cleaned up, here, let me turn you, there you go, my TBR cart, so that the top is where I put all of my library books. So I'm very happy that now I have a section at the top of my TBR cart for all of my library books. All of the books on there are books that I either purchased this year or have been on my shelf for a really long time and I want to get to. I think I would actually prefer to have this whole thing, these 3 shelves, be my TBR cart, because there's so many, they just be on my TBR shelves. But honestly, like, every book on my shelf at this point feels like a TBR book. I don't know how many I have that are unread. Since I did get rid of a ton, I went through the app on my phone that I use to keep track of everything, and I believe that I had like 156 left that are unread, but I'm not sure that that's accurate. I think there's probably books I've purchased so far this year that I haven't included, that I haven't scanned in. As I finish books that I own, I will go through and scan them in. As always, the best place to find out what I'm reading is on Storygraph, which is always linked down below. This is kind of what I'm doing with my life right now, is working. We've been going on bike rides on trails, so we just did another 30 miles this weekend, which was a lot of fun. We have some traveling coming up, and so life has just been moving quickly, very busy, but since it's going to be over 100 degrees almost every day this week, I will be inside working and getting a lot of reading done. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. What have you guys been reading? And that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.